Howdy gamers, and having a serial-based YouTube channel is harder than I thought. I'm completely out of ideas. Luckily, I do have a plan for this. That's right, it's a dartboard full of ideas. I just throw a dart and whatever it lands on, I finally do a video on that subject. What kind of cereal is a Thief 2? Thief 2, also known as the game that I freaking hate, is the game that I freaking hate. It's true. Usually when I do these reviews, I don't like to say my stance on a game right away, but I feel like it's just something that I should say immediately so that if you're here to watch someone talk good about Thief 2, you're probably in the wrong place. With that being said, there were some things I did like about the game. You see, even hell has some good things about it. Like, if I'm ever in hell, I wouldn't have to worry about being better than everyone else because, let's face it, there's some bad people there. But enough about the good things about hell. One of the good things about Thief 2 was the compass in the game. The compass is one of the inventory items in the game, and get this, it shows you north, west, south, and east. It's cool though, because it really adds to this game's atmosphere of you being a thief and trying to creep around. The map doesn't show exactly where you are on it, and believe me, we'll get into that. But because of this, it also doesn't show what direction you're facing. This is where the compass comes into play, because you'll use it to move around the area by looking back and forth at the map, which I honestly thought was a cool idea for a game where you're a thief. Going off of that, this game honestly does have some decent atmosphere. I mean, I can think of games with better atmosphere, but this game's atmosphere is still good. And it really does commit to the style it's going for, and I respect it for that. Even the pause menus are stylistic, and I thought that was pretty neat. Of course, style in a game isn't everything. You also need gameplay. Or at least, some games you need gameplay. Death Stranding. And here, the gameplay is stealth-based. Basically, don't get noticed by the guards and then bonk them on the head. Unless you're on easy, in which case literally nothing matters and you can just kill everyone. I guess this stealth is fun enough with the whole sneaking up on the guards thing, and there's also a nice variety in items to help you accomplish this, like the moss arrow, which makes your footsteps quiet, to the invisibility potion, which just makes you invisible. Some of these items are given to you, but one of the cool things is that since you're a thief, you steal stuff, mostly valuable stuff. So, before the next level starts, you can use the money that you got to buy some items. The better the item, the more expensive it is. I like this idea and I thought it worked pretty well. There are even some secrets so you can find some extra money, which sounds good on paper, but it ends up not working because on the hardest difficulty, for some levels, you need the secrets in order to progress, because at harder difficulties, you need to steal more money. You also get different objectives based on the harder difficulty, which is a cool idea. If you're an expert thief, you're obviously going to do things differently. But needing to find secrets that you will never find without a guide should not be required to move on to the next level. With that said, if you do play this game, I still recommend you do it on expert difficulty since it does seem that's the way the game was meant to be played, but also with that said, I don't recommend that you play this because it's a bad game, and I guess we can get into why I think that, because I've said literally all the good things I can about Thief 2. First off, let's start off with, in my opinion, Thief 2's biggest flaw, the level design. All the levels that I played were too big for their own good, and because of that, it's extremely easy to get lost and have no idea where you're supposed to be going. You might think that, oh, if you get lost, why not just pull out your map? And to that I say, how little do you think of me? I tried that, but it doesn't always work, because the map only shows the area you're in, not exactly where you are. This is at its worst in the second level, where not only is the level huge, but it's also almost impossible to know where you are or where you're supposed to be going. This level is literally the worst level I've ever played in a video game, and is also the least amount of fun I've ever had in a video game. And the worst part about it could have easily been fixed if A, the game showed exactly where you are on the map instead of the general area, and B, if the game showed you where your objective actually was. I do get that not everyone would like to have the objective shown to them. They would rather just walk around lost for an hour, and that's fine, but it would have been nice if it was at least an option, but it's not. Maybe this doesn't sound bad, but in an open-ended, non-linear game, it is. I can't explain how annoying and frustrating this is, but oh wait, what's that I smell? It's a counterpoint. Someone's probably saying something like, Eric, not only are you #1 in the Americas in Lucio Ball, but you also say that you like The Legend of Zelda for the NES, and that's a game that has a bad map and doesn't tell you exactly where to go. And to that I say, yes, I am #1 in the Americas for Lucio Ball, thank you for mentioning. And also with The Legend of Zelda for the NES, I'm sure a lot of it is that I'm... But even if I am... I still think that The Legend of Zelda is good in this aspect. First off, with The Legend of Zelda, following a guide in that game is still fun because, get this, the gameplay is also fun. I guess I did compliment the stealth, but what I should have said is that the stealth is fun enough when it actually works. Because yes, not only is this game confusing and way too big, but it's also broken at times. The worst example of this was in the level Trace the Courier, in which you follow someone with a letter. Long story short, no matter what I did, even if I was literally invisible and crouching, I would still get caught by the guards here. Because, like I said, at times the stealth is completely broken. I did everything I could, but I literally could not beat the level because of how broken it was. I even went as far as to replay the entire level, but get this, it was still broken. It's not even just that level though, it's everywhere. It's extremely inconsistent whether the guards will see you or not, which, get this, it ruins the game. And even if you do manage to sneak up on them, you just bonk them on the head over and over and over again. It was exciting the first few times, but there's no variety, you never get to do anything else. Take Metal Gear Solid 3 for example. You can throw snakes at guards, blow up storage houses, tricking guards into eating expired food, holding them at gunpoint and shooting out their radio. Or at least that's what Tom O'Regan said. I've never played Metal Gear Solid 3, but it still sounds more fun than having one of two options. Sneak past the guard or bonk them on the head, and realistically, you're gonna want to bonk them on the head. Also with The Legend of Zelda, yes, you might need a guide to find dungeons on the overworld, but for the first few dungeons, as long as you understand that moving blocks when all the enemies are dead and blowing up walls can help you find secrets, you literally just don't need a guide for the first few dungeons. With Thief 2 though, there was not a single level in which I didn't feel the need to pull up a guide, and that's not a good thing. Something else that wasn't a good thing was the story of this game, because I don't want to come across as rude, but I could not have cared less about this game's story. I'm sure as most of you guys know, usually when I start these reviews, I start with the story, but for this one I didn't, because I didn't care about the story. I just got done playing Dead Space, and you expect me to care about the name of an organization that I can't even remember an hour after playing? The story was boring, and I didn't care. Maybe it picks up and gets exciting later in the game, and also what I find to be a boring story you might find interesting, but I just didn't care at all. It really just boiled down to these are bad people, let's break into their establishment and steal something. It was kind of annoying that this game didn't even have a good story going for it, but speaking of annoying, the fact that this game doesn't autosave is also pretty freaking annoying. You have to save manually unless you want to be restarting the level each time you get caught or you underestimated how much fall damage you would take. Apparently not autosaving is something that old PC games do, but that still doesn't make it any less annoying. This means if you're not careful, you might have to replay entire sections of levels just because you forgot to go to the menu and save. I do have some nitpicks though, like it would have been nice to have important notes stored for future use, but for some reason only some documents can be stored, so that's fun. Or what about the fact that lockpicking in this game is really boring and boils down to spamming the right click button over and over again, and then sometimes changing what lockpick you're using. Like, seriously, no lockpicking minigame, just this, over and over again. Also, another problem was the combat in this game. It felt kind of unfinished in my opinion. Sometimes you have to fight some spooky monsters, but they attack way too fast for me to consider it fair. And yes, you can block their attacks, but sometimes it just doesn't work. And I don't know why this game has so many positive reviews on Steam, with the only negative ones being the game is too dark. Literally just change the gamma settings. There are better things to complain about here. Like, what about that a lot of the stages feel exactly the same and you don't have much variety? Or that some stages literally are the same, because that's fun. I could get you saying that, oh, there's some levels in Dead Space that look the same, but at least there's enemy variety here. It's just these two copy and pasted everywhere. I don't really know why I care so much about hating this game, but if I had to guess, it's probably because I had to play 20 hours of it. To be fair, some of those hours were me getting absolutely tired of this game and challenging people to connect for. And yeah, I still am undefeated for anyone wondering. Overall, I didn't like this game, and if you're wondering why I even bothered playing it after I knew I was going to dislike it, it's because this is part of a series on the channel where I go over the top 125 games of all time, and Thief 2 was number 119. Basically, I'm just forcing myself to beat every game on the list. Technically, I didn't ever beat Thief 2 because the game glitched out on the 8th level and I literally couldn't beat it. But I still feel confident in giving it a score of 45 out of 100. On top of that, I would even give this the worst game I've ever played award, because this is the worst game I've ever played. I'm sure that there are worse games than Thief 2, but it's the worst game I've ever played because I just don't go out of my way to play bad games. And it's not all bad, like I said, there were some good things about it, but not enough for me to enjoy it. Overall, just to summarize how I feel about Thief 2, I bought this game for 87 cents, and I don't feel like that was worth it. Of course, all that might make you think I'm done making video game content for good and I'm gonna go back to focusing on serial-based content, but I don't think so. Thief 2 made me realize how good I've had it, because this is gonna be the worst game I ever have to play for a while, so I'm kinda looking forward to that. I guess I'm gonna have to sell all my cereal so I can buy back my video game collection. I sold it for about 75 bucks on eBay, but it probably won't be too expensive to buy all of it back. So, I guess until next time, stay safe, and I love you guys.